Hey guys, T-Blair. Today I got a look at the Iowa for you. I haven't had Sims up to level 11 until now. Um, and so I haven't really played the Iowa too much historically due to Dewey not being the best commander for that ship. But now that I got him up to level 11, I thought I'd bust him out. Here we got a match on Trident, capture the base mode. We're spawned on the far western side of the map, north side. A lot of times I see the south spawn on this side kind of just bug out and go towards the middle. So, and sometimes you see the northern side push aggressively. You can even see the center spawn come over here as well and kind of overload. So, in my mind, I'm just going to kind of move forward, try and get centrally located and see what develops. It's pretty rare to see that southwest spawn push forward pretty aggressively, or if they do, they're usually rebuffed pretty easily. But I don't want to personally commit to going too far west just because in most matches there's not going to be a lot of targets to shoot at. Whereas if I keep myself centrally located, then we can just kind of move our focus by keeping an eye on the minimap, looking for broadside, looking for, you know, what the enemy's doing in terms of movement and what side they're trying to overload and so forth. And now looking in on this Vanguard here, this is what a good steep angled battleship looks like from their perspective. You can see it's basically pointing at us with just a little bit of a turn, and you notice there he bounced the entirety of the salvo that hit him there. So people that say the Vanguard doesn't have the armor to do well in this game, I just don't think you're playing the armor angling properly on that ship. And the ship, the Vanguard and the Iowa kind of have the same idea where you want to be shooting the front guns primarily with a nice angle against threats, and then look for opportunities to swing that back gun in. And you got to do so with the idea that if you get caught swinging that back, that's when you're going to potentially open yourself up to big time damage coming your way. So you'd rather be doing, you know, 2/3 of the damage output, keeping yourself safe and surviving throughout the entirety of the match than constantly firing full broadsides into the enemy but taking huge damage in return. So, you know, it's kind of like a marathon mentality with these battleships. Just try and stay alive, keep the damage coming, stay in position to be firing your guns pretty much on reload as often as you can, and the damage will pile up throughout the game. It's pretty basic. Iowa kind of has a similar mentality to the Richelieu, for those of you that watched that video the other day, where you can kind of establish yourself into position, and it's very hard for the enemy to dislodge you from that position, assuming you're kind of not overextended and just kind of pointed at the guns that could potentially shoot at you. If you're in a position where you have a lot of ships that can hit your broadside. I mean, right now I do have ships that can potentially hit my broadside over here, but I'm keeping an eye on them. They're not paying attention to me, and I am trying to deal damage to them primarily and kind of dislodge them. But the ships in front of me, you know, we're just kind of here, and they can't aggressively push forward out of here because then they're just going to be perfectly broadside to me, or they're going to be putting themselves in the crossfires with the other ships that are over here. Now, the one problem I'm going to have with this position is they have 3 destroyers. We've lost one of ours, and the destroyer that's kind of hanging out by me, this Fletcher, he's not really doing what I would consider to be his main job. Fletcher, you know, you're born to kill the enemy destroyers, and, you know, this is a good situation for him to do so. Again, I kind of have the enemy battleships, the enemy support ships pinned behind their cover right now. If they want to challenge, they're going to have to go through me. But meanwhile, because the Fletcher's not kind of aggressively trying to get rid of the destroyers, they're going to keep popping up here and pushing through and trying to torp me, which it's going to lead me to getting frustrated with the Fletcher. Backline DDs that are just kind of hanging out watching the game through the binoculars are a major problem. That's a good way to lose games if you're playing the destroyer like that. You need to be frontline, spotting those DDs, especially for the Fletcher. That's your job. Go get those DDs out of there. Make sure they're not torping your battleships, and your team should easily win the game if you're able to do that. But it's also incumbent upon you as a player to recognize what your team's doing, and just because you think they should do something, you think this is the perfect play, this is what that guy's role is in this situation. He doesn't know what you think, he doesn't give a damn what you think, and he's almost certainly not going to do what you think he should be doing. So you can say, well, I'm a little too far forward here. Yeah, I'm doing a good job anchoring these ships. They can't really move from this position, and I do have cover. All that. Yes, this is a good position for me to be in, except for the fact that there are unchecked destroyers in the area, and they are going to be able to send torps at me and potentially take me off the game in one salvo. So yeah, I'm going to try and dodge them. Yeah, I'm going to try and finish these destroyers off and, you know, get my secondaries in play, yada, yada, yada. But, you know, I guess it would just probably be better to be about one grid's worth of a map, you know, to the north or something, back where I'm not so easily accessed by these kind of unchecked destroyers. So now I'll point out here, this is kind of both the pro and the con of being this close to a island for a battleship. I am protected in the side, so the destroyer can't hit the broadside of my ship, which is good, but it can sneak around and get quick, you know, close range torpedo strikes. As you can see, he's coming around here now. So battleships in general, I don't like to be near islands a lot, but again, at least if he's going to torp me, the torps are coming from the angle that I'm already at, pointing at these other ships. So in those situations, being by an island's not too bad. This is just kind of holding down a position, and this is one of the good functions the battleship can perform. You know, just you can look at basically the lines of fire right now, and we kind of have that group clustered up there. They're kind of trapped because they can't expand out of there, which is what they're inclined to do, except for these DDs, which again I can't effectively hold them off like, you know, other ships on my flank should be able to hold them off. But anyway, this is just a well-entrenched battleship, you know, steeply angled. There's not a lot they can really do to dislodge me very easily, and, you know, they keep trying to push forward here. We don't hit a citadel there, but, you know, we got citadels worth of damage and then some. And we're up to just shy of 100k, so we've done our ship's HP and then some. So we're already getting into the realm where at this point we've influenced the game successfully, and we really have, you know, about almost full health. We've used the heals, but we still got a good chunk of health. Vanguard pops out again. We're just kind of sitting here waiting for these guys to get impatient, as they're inevitably going to do. Don't hit the citadel on that one either, but another 10k, 15k, whatever it was. It's going to be pretty evident here that I'm getting frustrated with this Fletcher on my team. I'm not going to continue to harp on it or, you know, pick on that guy in particular. It's just the destroyers need that Z-23. When you see him sneaking in there, you see those torps on the screen there where he's going to begin actively killing the team from the rear. And this guy wants to shoot HE shells at a battleship full range. Just go kill the Z-23. That's the only thing you need to do as that Fletcher. So again, we're not going to talk about that anymore. But anyway, you could just see the clumped up nature, and again, you know, the damage is beginning to add up. We're over 100k now. But that's really kind of what you want to be doing in these battleships. Like identifying the mini-map firing lanes that you have. You want to set up positions where you have multiple firing lanes. So one of them where you can just run an imaginary line on that map, running down the length of those islands, going from basically where I'm parked down to a southwestern direction. So we had that area covered. That's kind of where we primarily angled towards. We were entrenched there, and they basically were pinned down. We also had a secondary firing line, which you saw we'd take a few shots to the far, you know, eastern side of the map, and that's where you get the crossfire section. So you kind of want to have a position where you can hold down your primary side that's going to be mainly focused on you, just because that's where the flow on that map usually happens. You know, people are very habitual when they play these things. And these sides that spawn over here tend to look at each other. But set up angle towards that and then look for those crossfire opportunities, hit those broadsides, and then, you know, protect yourself as needed from incoming fire from both angles. But, you know, in my mind, that's a good position. That'll allow you to always be firing essentially throughout the entirety of the match. Now this Iowa, you can see here what I'm talking about. He tried to swing to get that back gun open, and we get 8K there on that ship. And that was shooting up, you know, we're trying to hit the superstructure, we're trying to hit the upper hull end of the deck, you know, those areas. But had he been really just steeply angled and content with just shooting those front guns, those salvos can go from anywhere from 0 damage to like 2,000 or 3,000. And now he's going full broadside, and this is the risk that we're taking for. These are the opportunities you're looking for to swing that back gun into position. Yes, it exposes us to more incoming damage potentially, but you hit him for 40 to 50k, whatever that was, knock out a turret. His back broken, and will to live, gone. You know, I can knock this guy over, a stiff wind would do it. What we're going to do is fire the front guns here and then try and save that back gun for the target on the right. And you can do that just by kind of swinging back or carefully just, you know, shooting the front guns one pull the trigger at a time rather than double tapping it. But again, the Vanguard angled there and survives that salvo. Now here this Iowa was able to sneak through that gap while we're in the reload, and before we really knew he was there, and we're in a great position. You can see on the screen here when I'm just lining up a shot to explore the possibility, looking for that white triangle. There it pops up. That means the majority of the shells are going to hit the island. But you can always try the shot, and you can see there we get the Citadel from one of the 2 shells that got through that little gap. So just because it says the shot's blocked doesn't always mean, you know, you'll see me, not only in this video, but a lot of videos, just shooting those shots anyways. And, you know, my other options were a well-angled Vanguard or, you know, that was it. So in my mind, it's worth it just to take that shot anyways, just because this shot, as you can see, is not a very productive shot. And, you know, I'd like to stress people shoot shots that they consider to be low percentage shots anyways. Number one, it'll make you a better shooter. Number two, you'll actually hit shots that you weren't necessarily thinking you're going to be able to. Vanguard gets tired of playing, swings full broadside here. We send him back to hell where he came from. So, pretty easy one there. That's going to do it for this one. If you did like the video, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions for me, comments, leave them below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.